True behavior is not habit change. It is identity change. There's this talk by James Clear. He's a popular blogger. He's got a great blog. He talks a lot about habits. There's this talk he gave. It was at I think ConvertKit Summit, like a marketing summit. And I'll leave a link in the description in case you want to watch the video or listen to the video because it's very good. And I wrote this email out to my email list. You may have received it, but it was about essentially kind of like why, what causes behavior change, like the mechanics. Like, for example, losing weight, just as an example, eating healthier, kind of setting up your life in a way where you do good behaviors. You don't eat junk food, you eat healthy food, you exercise, you don't procrastinate, stuff like that. But at the end of the talk, kind of the big bullet point that sort of put everything together was that true change is not behavior change, but identity change. So here's the notes that I wrote. The goal is not to become a book, right? When you read it, the goal is to become a reader. The goal is not to write a book. It's to become a writer. The goal is not to run a marathon. It's to become a runner. And to take this further into health, the goal is not to become, a healthier, I guess it could be, the goal is to be a healthy person, if that makes sense. And the way to being something or becoming something is doing it. Right, the more often you do something, that's kind of the main gist of the talk was the more often you do something, the more you put votes in the favor of the thing that you're doing. And this is extremely powerful. Think about this for a second. Are you the type of person that binge watches television? I'm one of those people on occasion. I try to stay away from it, but it just takes away. I think it takes away from my life more than anything. Just an example, like, are you the type of person that exercises every day? Are you the type of person that lifts weights? It's sort of like everything that you do, are you the type of person that checks Facebook on their phone a bazillion times like I do, or used to anyway, or trying to reform in some way? Are you the type of person that, makes videos on YouTube? Are you the type of person that makes good polished videos on YouTube? Are you the type of person that, some of my habits are browsing Amazon for, shopping for shit. That's kind of the stuff that I do. And every time you practice the activity, you become that. Every time you write, you're becoming a writer. Every time you play a sport, you're becoming an athlete. Your identity emerges from the habits you have. It's about getting you to believe something possible about yourself. And again, taking this again further, like, take some really drastic examples. Just because you kill somebody doesn't mean you're a murderer. But if you kill lots of people, you are a murderer, right? Or just because you're a liar, just because you lie doesn't mean you're a liar. It just means you're a person that lies. But if you continue to lie, you become a liar. It's in a way, it's quite philosophical. It has a lot of practical applications too, because like I have a friend, he's trying to lose weight, or everybody around me is trying to lose weight. I'm trying to lose weight, right? Trying to eat healthier. And he always goes on these things where he just always diets and kind of puts this elaborate plan together that he has trouble following, and it only happens when he's gained a ton of weight, which happens to a lot of us. It's either like some sort of like wake up call, or you just go, damn it, I'm too fat. I need to lose weight, right? And a lot of that has to do with identity, right? I actually made this old video. It's called The Reason Why You're Fat. And the reason why is because they believe they're fat. And this is essentially the same thing. I'm saying is you identify yourself as a fat person. You identify yourself as a person that when they see junk food, they eat it. You identify yourself as a person that has no willpower. You identify yourself as a person that just does whatever they want. It's so complicated because we have so much wrapped in to who we are as people. Like, and our work is a big part of it, right? I'm a personal trainer. I am a personal trainer. A lot of what my identity is wrapped into being a personal trainer. And actually the biggest parts of like where we have lots of crises, is when we sort of lose our identity or we wrap ourselves into something that basically is unhealthy. I'll explain that in just a moment with an example in my life. But going back to the idea of being a personal trainer, as a personal trainer, personal trainers do personal trainer things. They watch personal trainer stuff about fitness. They have healthy habits. They are an example to their family. They just have all these things that make them a personal trainer. That makes me a personal trainer. But you think about that. That's a lot. It's identity. It's identity. It's an identity. I have to say this a bunch of times because it's really strong in my head. You know, I am a copywriter. I'm a marketer. I'm a salesperson. I'm a business owner. Right. I'm actually having sort of some issues with kind of identifying what I am in my business world. Right. So it's kind of like and I can't be all. I am all those things, but there's one thing that I'm the powerhouse at that's going to make me the most amount of leverage. Now, going back to what I said about sort of like losing my identity, was when you lose your identity, something devastating happens. Or just a really good example has happened to me. When I got fired, or when I left 24-hour fitness back in 2009, it crushed me. It really did. You combine that with the recession of the financial collapse, and just having a huge pay cut. It destroyed me. It really did, wreck me to pieces, and it was hard. And for a couple years, after I left 24-hour fitness and I became a trainer at UFC gym, I went through this process of like making like all this money to not making much and having to start from scratch and build a client base. It was what made it so difficult. Lots of reasons. I mean, it's not just that would happen. It's, the recession, I wasn't hitting my bonus. It was sort of like, even at the last year of 24-hour fitness, income was decreasing anyway. But that's just the money part, that's sort of like the evidence. But the more of the deeper emotional part was that, I identified myself as a 24-hour fitness employee. I identified myself as a person that was part of that group, part of that family. And then when you kind of leave your family, you get lost, right? So now I'm part of this other family, which is UFC gym. And at the time, it turned out to be obviously a really great thing for me, but it's sort of like that's the hardest. That's what makes it so difficult, because you get so caught up in like, you wrap yourself up in your job. I'm just using this as an example because, we will, when you have a group of friends, or maybe you're on a team or something, and then you have to leave that team. Like, for example, I remember my son's kind of going through this, or what still is kind of. But he's growing up now. But like he went to this school. It's called Rolling Hills, and he's a fourth grader, third grade. I can't remember anymore. But anyways, he was in that school, and then he had to leave that school. That was the first grade school he was at, and then he had to move to another school, and pretty much for a year, it's like this breakup of identity. He was a Rolling Hills student. He still wanted to visit them, and it was kind of sad. You really don't visit your old school. I mean, it's kind of weird. Or how about this? Another example. When I was when I had to move to Fairfield, and my mom died, and I had to move here, I would still visit Westmore High School, and I would still visit all my old friends, because my identity was there. I couldn't let go of that. And kind of bringing this back around, because I'm veering off quite a bit, is changing your identity comes from habits. Right. Ultimately, what you want is to become a millionaire. You want to become multimillionaire. And really, here's what's interesting to me about becoming a millionaire. It's not about becoming a millionaire. It's actually about becoming a very skilled individual, a very skilled business person, a very skilled salesperson, a very skilled business operator. And there's lots of abilities and skills that are wrapped up into those things, into that identity of being a businessman or businesswoman, on being a freelancer or a copywriter, or again, business operator. That's not becoming. I mean, being a millionaire is a bunch of different things. It's being good at investing, being good at not, being able to invest. Manage your money. It's a lot of different things, a bunch of different skills. It's a bunch of different habits, right? Having a six-pack abs, being lean is a series of habits. It's just lots of habits that you just really can't. I mean, ultimately, that's kind of why the surface goal of being a millionaire or making lots of money is so. It's a little bit of a trap, because it's. Another thing that I wrote down here that I wanted to say was, what will it take for you to become the person that achieves that? It's not about achieving it. It's about who you have to become to achieve it. And this is like, Jim Rohn, if you're familiar with his stuff, or he talks about this a lot, is what kind of person do you have to become? How do you have to change your identity, and you just don't realize how difficult that really is. You know, it really is, because, you know, like here's some stuff that I have trouble being. I identify myself as an introvert. I identify myself as a person that's not very good with people. I'm very uncomfortable around people. I'm a type of person that kind of says mean things, or clever things, and these are things that kind of conflict with other goals, you know, and I'm working to sort of adjust them, but they're difficult because my identity is wrapped up into them, you know. What else can I say? Like, because if you're trying to make a change, I just want to keep talking about this identity thing, because I just think it's like the coolest thing I learned this week. It's like, this is who you are, right? And if you want to achieve a different goal, a bigger goal, you have to change who you are. If you want to be a person that runs a $100,000 business and you want to run $1 million business, how much do you have to change, right? If I want to go from, you know, $1 million to $10 million, how much do I have to change? No different than, you know, how do I become like a 200-pound person to a 180-pound person to a 175-pound person to a 160-pound person to someone who deadlifts, you know, a max deadlift weight of 300 pounds? What kind of person do you have to become to be to the 400 pounds, right? And if you want to make that more complicated, how do you do it without getting hurt, right? How do you do it while being injury resistant, right? It's I think it's something I do want to talk about more. So anyways, take a look at the links in the description. I'm going to leave that one link, which is the James Clear video, and then my other video, which is about why you're fat. It's basically the same idea as this. I just want to put them as references, because as I make these videos, I like to remember what the heck I talked about. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all on the next video. Have a great day or night. Bye. Don't eat junk food. Don't eat bad.